Welcome to the Vom Seymour podcast, your one-stop shop to versatile bird dog training.
What got you started in bird dogs?
It was so cool to hunt over a pointing dog that I just decided, that's it, I'm going to get one of these German wire hairs. So I did, and started training German wire hairs.
What was it about the German wire hair that caught your attention that you really liked?
The fact that they had so much run and point. A lab is a flushing dog, and it's just not quite as exciting to me as a dog that goes on point. So I really enjoyed the fact that the dog's pointing the bird, you walk up and flush him and shoot him that way versus the dog just running around willy-nilly flushing him up. Had them about 6-7 years and decided to move up to the Ferrari, which is the Deutsch-Drahthaar.
What got you started helping other people train their dogs?
Well, I had been going to Rick Smith seminars and these type of things for a lot of years, and I just have a knack for it and got really good at being able to steady up dogs and do the retrieving portion of it. And people have noticed that, and so they started asking for advice. They'd call me on the phone. That's kind of where I decided I think I can do this and make a business out of helping people remotely.
Let's go back a little bit. The Hunt Smith method. So Rick Smith, his method. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'll tell you what really happened before I started going to the Rick Smith seminars was we'd be out in South Dakota and we'd have 8-10 guys and we'd line up and make like a deer drive. And when you do that, there's basically no dog work. And I decided after a few years of doing that, I don't want to just make a deer drive and stand on the end of a line and shoot birds. I want to see a dog run out, point a bird, walk up to the dog, flush the bird, or the bird flushes on its own, and shoot the bird. In other words, it's me and the dog against the bird, not 5 guys or 6 guys walking through a field. So I decided I was more about trying to do it right versus trying to do it fast and just kill a bunch of birds. That's kind of what trips my trigger, is being able to see a dog go out and do everything that we train him to do, the point, the retrieve, the whatever it happens to be.
And the Rick Smith method. Tell me how you got started doing that. And I'm guessing that was your gateway into training. Is that right? I
would say, yep. Early on, I went to a guy that was real close by here in Greenwood, and he was an obedience trainer. And so I didn't know any better, so I was training all my dogs obedience. And I think training obedience is fine, but training obedience at too young of an age isn't necessarily a good thing with some of these dogs, because you may lose some run out in the field, and you might lose some independence because the dog maybe is dependent on you now since you trained him all this obedience. So yeah, then I did a bunch of obedience training with this guy, and then I started doing NAVDA and hanging out with some NAVDA guys, and then I knew Rick Smith was coming to town, so I thought, well, let's go see what he's all about. Some of the stuff he showed us and taught us was like pretty invaluable, and I thought, jeepers, look at all the stuff we're doing wrong. And we started picking up on some of that stuff. One of the first things I remember we talked about was the 3 simple things about training a dog: come to me, go with me, and stand still. And that still resonates with me today. If you can get a dog to do those 3 things, you can get a dog to work for you.
And have you figured that out?
Barely, but yeah, I figured it out.
And you can help people figure it out, right?
Yeah, by all means. Yep.
What keeps you motivated to train dogs and help other people train their dogs?
I think mainly seeing the successes that these people are having. This summer there was a guy that had been coming for a couple of years, and he really struggled. I mean, most of the time it's the dog is fine. It's the person that we got to try to get right and get them to figure out exactly what we're trying to get through to them. And the dogs normally get it. You just got to get the person to be able to figure it out. And this guy had struggled for 2 years with his dog. And
what is it? What is it that the person needs to get in their head and understand for this to work?
Generally speaking, he's got to realize that he's the alpha and he's in charge. And this dog kind of ran over him a little bit, he pushed him a little bit. And so the dog has to have a little bit of respect for the owner/handler. And once you get that respect, generally speaking, you can get a dog to work for you. And if you can have that dog respect you and your stuff, you're probably going to have a good citizen that you can live with. I've got a guy that's been coming here about the last 6 months, and he's got a little Brittany, and Rick Smith would be kind of proud of me because I'm training a Brittany because Rick was a Brittany guy. And since I'm a Drahthaar guy, there's quite a bit of difference in the dogs. But this little Brittany is nice. And this guy really wants this dog to do well. And it really shows because he's listening to me, he's paying attention, and the dog is responding. He was out here today, and we were working the dog, and I seen some stuff that was pretty cool as far as pointing, steadiness. And this is only a 10-month-old dog. And this dog has come a long ways in the last few months since he started coming. And you can do the same thing by paying attention to my videos, learning, asking questions, and following through with what I tell you over the phone if you have questions.
Joe, tell me about your experiences over the years with the Armbruster.
Yeah, the Armbruster, that's a big question because there's been 23 of them so far. And I haven't actually sat down and counted it, but I think I've been to 18 of them. And so if 18 is the number, which I think it is, I judged 2 of them, so that would put me at running 16 of them. And I believe I probably had 2 dogs at least half of them. So if I ran 16, and so that'd be 24 dogs. Somewhere around 24 dogs I've ran in the Armbruster. And dog dropped the rabbit in Minnesota and started playing with it. And obviously we failed the test. Dog dropped the rabbit again in Watertown, South Dakota. Obviously it's a different dog. And at that point, it was the last thing of the test. And the dog spit it out about 75 yards from me and just went into a search. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I mean, I think she would have been top 3 or 4 at that point.
Have you made any changes in that area since?
By all means. By all means, I have. Yep.
Give me one example. Just one.
I'm very diligent about when I do force fetch, I overlay the e-collar. And so the advantage of overlaying the e-collar is that I can cue the dog if it happens to drop the game at a distance. So let's say the dog drops it at 50 yards, instead of just hollering fetch, which, is probably what somebody's probably going to do. And I may say fetch too, but I'm going to cue the dog with some stimulation so it picks it up. So, I mean, that's one of the big things is overlaying the e-collar. And if I have a dog that I think may mess with me on a retrieve, I'll do the old trick of pull it up in the tree, and the dragger pulls it up in the tree, and the dog goes down, doesn't find it, and then he comes back, and then I pinch his ear and send him again, and meanwhile the guy dropped it out of the tree, and then he brings it back, and everything's good. I was able to make a little correction with the ear pinch. The guy drags the rabbit out, let's say 150 yards, drags it up into the tree stand, keeps the rabbit up in his tree stand with him. The dog tracks it out after I let him go, and he can't find it. Ooh, and he comes back to me. And then he comes back to me, and I pinch his ear and tell him, get down there and fetch it up. Meanwhile, the guy in the tree stand throws the rabbit out, lands on the grass, and then he finds it. So I was able to create a correction, create a mistake so I can make a correction.
Yeah, so the dog in the future thinks maybe it's there and I didn't find it. I got to go back and look.
I better keep looking. Exactly. Yep. So you create that mistake, and so you make that correction, and the dog's like, oh, I better keep looking.
Have you done any NAVDA events?
Yeah, I sure have. My first Drahthaar, Husker Vom Seymour was a Armbruster participant, and he finished up probably around 25th or 26th, and he was a prize 3 VGP dog. And then once I got most of that done, I went into NAVDA. And so he was a prize 1 NAVDA utility dog. He was a prize 1 NA dog. And then we took him to Ohio to what they call the big show. And he's got his versatile champion. And That was a pretty cool deal. I mean, we didn't know anything about it because we had never been to one before, and we were sitting up on the hill talking with somebody having a beer, and I said to the guy, I said, "What are they doing down there?" "Oh, they're steadying this at the blind." And so they shoot this dead duck out into the water, and they send a dog, and my dog has got to sit there and not move. And so they send a Spumoni, which is the slowest moving dog out there, to go retrieve that duck, and my dog has got to stay at the blind, steadiness at the blind. And I didn't know that was even in there. And I thought Husker's obedience was good, so he did it. He ended up getting a perfect score. And then I took BB to the Armbruster, and she got a perfect score. She was a heck of a dog.
What do you think it was that you did during the training that got that dog to stay there?
It comes down to the basics. Stay in the kennel till I tell you. I taught him down and plots, stay, and then we use a lot of different things to try to get him to move, roll a ball, throw a frisbee, and just teaching him to stay. And then also we had him steady the wing shot and fall. So he, with that particular, bird flying up in his face, he knew he had to stand for any sort of distraction there was because we had put him through the paces. It's about exposure and consistency. Dog training is being consistent. Yeah, if you're consistent, you can do, pretty much the same thing on a regular basis, and not one day it's okay to come flying out of the kennel, and the next day you got to stay till I tell you. I mean, that doesn't work. It's the same thing every day.
Joe, if you had to explain your online program, the Vom Seymour community, the online training platform, in one sentence, what would you say?
I'd say it'd be a great way to get your dog to move forward and be super steady.
What mistakes do you see people making when they try to train on their own?
I had a guy that comes here, and he'll call this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy, and, so he's got 5 different people that he's asking for advice. So then he gets kind of mixed up, I think. Try to stick with a system, not doing it this way one day and that way another day. And like I said earlier, being consistent with your training is, I can't stress that enough.
If someone is on the fence between sending their dog to a pro or trying to do it themselves, how does your online program change their perspective? How does your program help them choose to do it themselves?
I would say that we can get them to the next level if they have the time and want to take the time. That's the problem, because a lot of these people, they're professionals, they're on the road, they're flying all over the country, and not everybody's got time to do it themselves. But if they have time to do it themselves and they want to learn, this program will work for you. That's what I'm saying. It does. It'll do the job. It's there's so much cool stuff in there, and when I talk to people about, well, which one should I buy? Well, you buy the gold because it's got all the great puppy stuff in there to teach your dog. Even though your dog may not be a puppy, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot about handling and teaching your dog to retrieve, teaching your dog to stop and stand still, and just the cool puppy things that we do to get your dog to work for you once they get older. Because when we have a young dog and we got them in here, they may be 10, 12 weeks old, and they want to run out in front, and they want to go right, left, do whatever they want. They go to the right, I go to the left. They go to the left, I go to the right. I take them for a walk in the woods. They might want to run down this trail. I'll go down the other trail. And they kind of get lost, and then they come flying back, and it's like they learn they want to be with you. And it's some cool training that works for these dogs.
How do you want a brand new member to start? What's an ideal first month on the gold package or on any package?
Well, if you're buying the gold package, watch the videos and then watch them again. And as you're watching them, write down notes and then give me a buzz, and we'll talk about the questions that you have so I can help you get figured out exactly what I want you to do with that dog.
And then you'll set them on a trajectory, and then they can call you back and
do this,
checkpoints. They make notes of what they're struggling with, maybe.
Yep, do this, and that, and we'll help them get through their issues and make it so the dog's compliant and works with them. And I think the biggest thing with these young dogs is just don't overdo the obedience. I don't want them to be jumping on my truck and coming out of the kennel on their own. But I also don't want to overdo the obedience, like sit, down, heel. I'm not going to teach that to a dog till it's maybe 9, 10 months old. Only because I don't want to lose that run out in the field. Guys that overtrain obedience with some dogs are going to lose a little run out in the field because they're dependent on you. Because you train them all this obedience.
What are the core milestones that you want someone to hit using your online training program?
You know, for me, getting a dog up on the table and just teaching them to allow me to lift their gums, open their mouth, look at their teeth, put my hand in and have them hold my hand, turning the puppy upside down so they can be compliant and not want to fight when they're laying down on their back. Because dogs don't want to lay on their backs, but you got to get them through that. What's going to happen when you're out in the field and they have a injury? Maybe you have to stitch them up or whatever it happens to be. Or we take them to a test and the judges want to open their mouth and look at their teeth. So, yeah, teach your dog, your young puppy, to open their mouth, look inside their mouth, and then turn them upside down. I mean, that's pretty important. So that's a milestone. Get that done.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. And when somebody that joins your online program, training program, hits that first milestone, then I guess they'll find out the next one, right?
Exactly.
How should people use the community chat groups in your online training program?
When somebody has a question, then I'm notified that the question's there and I answer it. And then other people that are on there, there's probably 30, 40 people that are involved with it now. And then you can chime in. If you have questions, maybe it triggers a question for somebody else, and then we can go back and forth and try to get it resolved.
So that community chat is only as good as the people who post their questions.
Yeah, you got to get involved. The only way that it can resonate with and work for you is if you actually do it. I don't think there's any other way. I mean, you can watch all the movies and videos you want, but you have to actually be able to have that remote in your hand and have the homework done before that and know when and what level to use when you're working that dog. If that dog makes any sort of small little mistake, I know what level I should be on and how long I should hold it and what corrections to make at the correct time.
And you're talking about your e-collar.
Right. I'm talking about cueing the dog at the right level and the right time. Overstimulation's not good. And sometimes you got to jump up to a level that maybe the dog doesn't enjoy. But if the groundwork is laid, and you know as a dog has a good foundation and understanding of what it's supposed to be doing, it can work.
Have any of the people that you've trained how to train dogs gone on and won some competitions?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I got my one buddy Darwin. He's a dog trainer himself, and he won the Oberlander a couple years ago. And then he had a dog out of his kennel that won the Armbruster. So, yep, there's no doubt about it. I have a young man that worked for me for like 3 or 4 summers, Caleb Mostek, and he won the Oberlander probably about 6 years ago, and he worked here at the kennel for, I think it was 3 summers. Nice young man. So yeah, pay attention, you can learn. And the standing still part starts when you want to let them out of the kennel, and it also when you're on the chain gang and you want to take your dog off the chain. They're not jumping and screaming and hollering. The go with me is out in the field. And we've touched on that. I want that puppy at a young age to be able to go with me out in the field. I'm going to teach him very young to go left, go right, come with me, get down on a knee and come back into me. And the standstill is you're going to stand still at the chain gang.
Your online clients do have an option to talk with you and maybe schedule time to come to the kennel and do some live in-person training. Is that something that people can do that's open
Yeah, by all means. We have to set a schedule, and I usually like to do it during the week because my weekends with grandkids are pretty busy.
And this is off of the subscription. This is something
completely different.
a different package that you sell.
Yeah, and it usually includes 8-9 hours. And how it works is we're going to work your dog and 3 or 4 of the dogs that I have in here for training, so we can see examples of pointing, steadiness, retrieving, obedience, any of the things that I want those dogs to learn. And then we're going to work with your dog in between to make sure that you have an understanding of what needs to happen, and then have you do the work so I can critique you. Whether it's force fetch or wall post or whatever it happens to be. And it's huge because I'm actually able to see what's happening and to be able to weed out some of the things that you're doing that you shouldn't be doing. When people leave here and they're driving home, whether it's 6 hours or 20 hours, they got so many different things going through their head of what we taught them. And it was no different than for me when I first went to the Rick Smith seminars 25 years ago. And it's like I'd leave and I'd go like, holy cow, there's this, and that I should be doing different, and that I should be doing different. And what's kind of cool about it is Rick actually retired last summer, and I was able to be there for his last seminar they put on in Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. And every time you go to a seminar with Rick, you learn something. And I think it's going to be the same exact way when you come here. Every time you come here, there's going to be something that pops out. It's going to be like, oh, I didn't know that. And it's like, that makes sense. I'm going to use that.
Over time, as your online platform evolves, it is new right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing you're going to put as much as you can of that live in-person experience into that online platform, right?
Yep. Yeah, we're going to be adding short video clips to the tips and tricks. So we're going to be, every time that something comes up that I think is cool and can benefit the people, and we're going to be putting these short clips out there so people can see them. And I'm working now on every time that we add something to the website, everybody will be notified, hey, there was an addition, or we updated the blog and put a new blog on. So anytime there's something that added that can help people, you're going to get a notification, whether it's an email or a text message or whatever it happens to be. So that way everybody can benefit from it and not think they got to look at it every day to say, hey, I wonder if he added anything. Now you'll get a notification.
Yeah. And then there's that community area that people have to engage with.
Yep.
Ask questions, get responses. Other people can look at the questions that were asked and see the responses and maybe skip over having to ask it because it's already been asked.
Yep.
They can implement it, keep moving in their training program.
Yeah, I really want to see that take off and start getting used. I think it's kind of a cool way for everybody to learn from everybody else. And when I first started training dogs, I always went and trained with somebody that was better than me, and so I could learn from them. So I think one big tip that I can give people is when you're training dogs with somebody, when you're training with somebody that has less skill and knowledge than you, you're kind of going the other way. You need to train with somebody that's better than you so you can learn from him, and then you can work together and get better. When I first started training dogs, I was training with a guy by the name of Bob Britton, and Bob is still training dogs and hunting. But we had a lot of fun together. The camaraderie, and we trained he still comes out on Thursday nights. We have our Thursday night dog training here, and there's 25, 30 people that show up here, and Bob comes out on Thursday nights. I would say at least 2 or 3 times a summer.
And you spend your summers in Wisconsin and then winters in Arizona, right?
Yeah, and the Arizona stuff it's cool because I have so many wild birds close to where I live, and wild birds make a bird dog. And when I have all these wild quail, and I'm able to take the dogs for a walk on a daily basis, and they get into, whether it's a covey or a bunch of singles, they're learning to handle birds. I can put them on pigeons all day long, but wild birds make a bird dog.
When people come to your kennel to do some training, can their dogs stay here while they stay at a hotel? How does that work?
There's a possibility. If there's, most guys that come have a kennel in the back of their truck and they just handle it that way. But if I'm not strapped for room here, yeah, I would be more than willing to keep a dog
So it's just a scheduling thing then.
Yep. Yep. So I'm trying to do less training in the kennel with other people's dogs and more people that just come to see me or online training. Because I'm retired from the carpentry business and I'm trying to slow down in my dog business a little bit.
And you've got a lot of knowledge.
And I want to be able to help people. I want to be able to help people to the next level, and I can do it without having every dog in my kennel that lives here. I don't have to have every dog live here. I can help them through it on a daily basis if they just follow the steps that we're putting out there.
Sounds like a good place to end this.
You bet. If you're interested in buying my online training and coaching program, don't hesitate to call me or sign up online. Thanks for listening.